Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to the 2021 PGA Championship and to PGA Coaching Live, presented by Cadillac. We're here at Kiawah Island's Ocean Course, bringing you all the best insights, tips, and recommendations from our expert coaches inside the ropes at the Major Championship with the strongest field in men's golf to help you improve your golf game at home. And with that, we welcome you inside our PGA Coaching Live set right here on the Players Practice Range. We've got one of the best seats in the house this week. We're also steps away from the Atlantic Ocean, about a Bryson DeChambeau drive away from the water. And I am Melanie Collins. We're so glad to have you with us for tons of live content all week long. And I am joined by PGA coach Steve Scott. Steve, what a monster of a course. You and I took a drive around yesterday. It is serious, but the conditions are great.
This is a serious course, and it is wonderful to be here. We've got some idyllic conditions here in the low country, but it is a Pete Dye masterpiece, and it is in awesome shape, but it is the longest golf course these players are going to face, they've ever faced in a major championship. Over 7,800 yards here.
It's insane. And you look at the weather forecast for the week, you got high 70s. So far, we've got like a 5-mile-an-hour wind out of the northeast. The conditions look amazing. As a player, knowing you're playing one of the most difficult courses in the country, when you see that forecast, you got to feel a little bit of a relief.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not going to be 90-plus degrees and very wet. It's a May date instead of an August date where they played back in 2012. So these players, they've got the best of the conditions here, and a little low-country hospitality to boot.
And about 10,000 spectators expected for this tournament this week. It was so nice to see people walking around yesterday. They're starting to trickle in today. And Rory McIlroy has talked a lot about how that crowd sort of has an effect on the way he plays. When you were playing, how much was the crowd a factor for you?
Wow, it's all about the energy, right? You feed off the energy, positive or negative. And so, and you can really tell what's going on the golf course as well. If somebody ahead of you is making a run or slipping away and you're trying to chase the pack, it's just one of those things where you feed off of that energy with the birdies. So.
Yeah, well, one of the things a number of these players behind us have in common is they all have a coach. Why is it so important, Steve, on PGA Coaching Live for everyone at home to get a coach?
Well, you can't stop learning this game. There's so many things to learn in this game. Ben Hogan said that there's just never enough time in the day to practice all the shots you need to in a round of golf. But the PGA coaches are so important. They motivate, they inspire, and it's all about giving them a chance to be supported out there.
Yeah.
And if the best players in the world need a coach, everybody back at home needs a coach as well.
Yeah, the game you never truly master. Why is it so important not to wait until your game is, say, falling apart to find a coach?
Well, you have to learn about the fundamentals. It's all about getting the basics of the game. There are various portions of this game that we're going to learn and talk about throughout this Coaching Live week. So we're just going to have this opportunity to get inside the minds of these coaches and really just understand what makes the golf swing tick.
Well, Steve, because we are a coaching show, let's get a quick tip from you right off the bat.
All right. Yes, it is time for coaching. Well, this lesson is all about the club face. The club face is so important, and it's all really predicated on how you grip the golf club, Melanie. It's all about, for me, I employ a very neutral grip. And so what I want you to make sure that you do, if you're a player who has a very neutral grip, that means your club face is going to be very neutral. You're not going to need a lot of hand and forearm rotation. You're not going to need any excessive body rotation. But what's very important, and you'll see players with varying degrees of grips. You'll see a player that has a very strong grip, like a Dustin Johnson. And what that's going to do, that's going to cause the club face to come back a little bit closed. And so a Dustin Johnson type, who we're going to analyze in the near future here, is going to really have to make sure their body has a lot of clearing. And conversely, if you're a player that has more of a weak grip, maybe your left hand is a little bit under, and for a reference point, you don't see any of the knuckles of the left hand, the club face is going to be more open, and that player is going to need a lot more hand and forearm rotation. It's up to you to figure out with your PGA coach and find them back in your local area, and they're going to help you understand how to get the golf ball to sail down the fairway and at the pin. So let's give this one a shot here. Yeah, it went pretty straight. It's all about getting an understanding of what your body does and how much flexibility you have, or maybe you have a lack of flexibility. There's so many ways to play this game, and it's all about getting the right grip and understanding where that club face goes. If you can do that, Melanie, you're all set.
Absolutely, and whether you're trying to break 100 for the first time or one day you want to win the Wanamaker Trophy like Colin Morikawa did last year, we've got you covered. Now let's send it out to our roving range team, Scott Walker and PGA coach Joe Hallett. But first, let's learn a little bit more about Joe. Joe Hallett has established a reputation as a world-class PGA coach, guiding the path of some of the game's top players.
There it is.
Inbee Park was under Joe's watchful eye when she won her first professional event, the 2008 U.S. Women's Open, laying the foundation for a Hall of Fame career. Just a few years later, Joe began coaching a young up-and-coming LPGA talent from the University of Arkansas.
I think Joe's helped me the most just having a plan of how to get from being the 75th ranked player in the world to getting to #1 in the world, because that was the goal.
With Joe's help, Stacy Lewis has won 2 majors and reached world #1 status, just one of several LPGA Tour players who have flourished under Joe's guidance.
I feel like I'm a completely different player since we started working together.
He's just really able to connect with everyone he comes across, and just his demeanor and his character, it just makes you want to listen.
Instead of getting your upper body to go this way, feel like your upper body is kind of going here and covering on top.
We're at a really big time in technology. The ability to take maybe some of the experience that Mark and I have.
Joe's impact on the game doesn't just come from coaching today's top players, but also his tireless commitment to molding tomorrow's coaches. In 2008, Joe's dedication resulted in his being honored with the National PGA of America Professional Development Award for his commendable contributions to the education of PGA coaches across the golf industry.
As far as the PGA of America is concerned, Joe's an asset, a real strong asset, not only for what he knows, but what he's willing to do to help advance the careers of future PGA professionals.
He's extremely intelligent. I think that's really important in order to, to grow the game, and not just for tour players, but for teaching pros as well.
And I am Scott Walker here on PGA Coaching Live. Happy to be joined on this practice tee by Joe Hallett. And Joe, set us up for the week about the facilities that we're going to see here throughout the week at the Ocean Course here at Kiawah.
Well, Scott, obviously we're looking at the practice tee right now, and while a lot happens here over your shoulder, and you and I took a little journey yesterday, they've got a tremendous putting complex, a tremendous short game complex. So for those of you tuning in, our goal is to cover all parts of the game and show you how the best in the world do it this week at one of the toughest challenges, but how that relates to you and to your game. So we might even find ourselves in a bunker, and there's a big one right behind us here.
Yeah, the beach is just off to our right. It's going to be a great week, and we're looking forward to that, to see the 156 players here at this 103rd PGA Championship. And there's one player behind us here in red. Thomas Dietrich has been a longtime player, or actually a younger player here. He used to play at the University of Illinois, and he's a player that has some ability to, ball strike and really get his way around here. Maybe a sleeper in this championship.
Yeah, these are some of the fun people to watch in the championship. Of course, we have our group of 20 PGA professionals, as well as some of the younger players. And, it's neat. I know you really get into the statistics of this, and we're kind of seeing who's climbing up in the strokes gained, who's hitting more fairways. And it is such a unusual occurrence to be able to get out to a major championship, and your game is good enough to be out here. What's the change this week?
So, you've been around a number of players, particularly on the LPGA Tour, trying to prepare for championships like this. How much work gets done before you get here this week, and if you are trying to find it on the range on Tuesday, can you do it championship week?
Man, Scott, that reminds me of college. I was cramming for finals at 11 p.m. the night before the test, and these professionals, I promise you, are not doing that. Probably most of the hard work took place last week. Maybe even if they were in the event, if they had any little swing change or a tweak, or if they needed another shot, a higher ball or a lower ball, they started working on it last week, and this week is one where their instructors are out here with them, their PGA coaches are out here with them, and they're kind of guiding them through that process to make sure that the shots that they want are ready for the course.
Dietrich was coached at Illinois by a notable PGA coach, Mike Small. Tell me about what you like about what he does here.
Well, the first thing is I'm always envious of a taller, lankier player who has a really, really good golf swing. That's one of the hardest things to find. I think for those viewers that are a little bit taller in stature, you can actually swing a little shorter and kind of get the same distance. And one thing you see about his swing is a very controlled backswing, and I love the controlled finish. As a junior golfer, you always heard the adage, son, hold your finish till the ball lands, and you can almost see that Thomas is able to do that, which means he's got great balance, and his tempo kicks in right away while he's out here practicing.
So for the players here that are competing at a different level, maybe it's your club championship, maybe it's just trying to beat some buddies on the weekend, what are some of those elements that they can take into their game as well?
Well, I think the one thing you'll see in competitive-wise, I think every player here on any tour or even college ranks, and I'm sure, at Illinois, literally, you don't want to shoot yourself out of it the first round. And so part of that is playing a game that's under control. You're not trying to hit the ball as long as you can off the tee. You're not taking one less club. And these gentlemen out here right now are prepping themselves to be able to go out to that first round, have a round under control where they don't have to pull on the reserves quite yet.
Yeah, but the instinct, though, for a golf course that's the longest in major championship history, 7,800 yards, is that you have to go full out, that you've got to be, get every inch that you can to make sure you give yourself an advantage. How do you fight that mentality?
Well, the guy I want to see out here this week, you still get 2 club lengths behind the tee. I want to see the guy that actually takes those 2 club lengths on the longest course in PGA history. But that is part of it. And one of the things that they're going to focus on is more or less the approach clubs that they're going to need. What do they plan to hit in? Where they might normally be hitting a 7-iron or a 6-iron, they might have to have the 5-iron in the bag and the 4-iron. So that's probably a lot of their practice that they had the week before, knowing those approach shots and those clubs, rather than trying to gain the 10 extra yards off the tee.
last thing, and right now, this every time you're here, you're trying to figure out what the conditions are, and because we're so close to the ocean, like I said, just like a Bryson drive away, the conditions are changing. So how are you reading the difference between being here at 8 a.m. and a light breeze compared to what we saw a little bit more yesterday, where the winds were gusting a little bit in the afternoon?
We saw something very interesting yesterday, and it's normal during a practice round that a player would come out and warm up, play their practice round, and then come back out to the range. But specifically, some of the caddies will drive their player to come back out and experience the afternoon conditions and the morning conditions, because remember, one day they tee off in the morning and one day they tee off in the afternoon. So not just guessing, but physically getting out here and practicing during those conditions.
Well, you've given you a good peek here at what some of these players are going to try to accomplish on this practice tee. We'll be back, of course, throughout the hour and throughout this week as we give you more from the range here at PGA Coaching Live.
So every day we got to get our body to feel the same, right?
Every day you sleep differently, you wake up differently, and you never really know how your body is. So I've always got this red band. I'll kind of just set up like I'm hitting a golf shot and just see how much rotation I can get.
We don't want to cheat and just lift the arms. There has to be a rotation that's occurring.
You'll always see me do some leg kicks. So I'll start going forward and then I'll start going side. And that just kind of gets the body started. You just want to be ready by the first hole, not by the 15th.
Tell us a little bit about how you go through your bag before a round.
I just go 60, 55.
I think starting with wedges is also super important for tempo.
Just to slowly get the body warmed up. I mean, I never really start with full golf swings. You kind of have to ease your way into it. I always go my 8-iron. 8-iron's my favorite club. 5-iron.
I think a lot of it is getting your mind warmed up, rehearsing a shot that you're most likely going to have on the golf course.
Actually visualizing like that's an actual pin is kind of huge for the warm-up. 5-wood, 3-wood driver. Go back with a few chip shots. I'll always end on 6 balls. It's just the way I do it.
Well, I think we're ready. Let's go.
Awesome.
All right.
Since I was a junior golfer, PGA professional Rick Sessinghouse taught me to be creative with my shots and how to execute them. His coaching guided me on my journey to become a major champion. At the PGA Championship, I look forward to competing against 20 PGA club professionals from across the country who promote the game, just like Rick. They might be underdogs, but this week, they're all players, just like me. Don't miss a team of 20 at the PGA Championship.
Hey Colin, it's Rick. Just to remind you that, hey, keep that driver grip nice and loose. Grip pressure is so important here to play your best golf. So let's loosen your grip, and that way you're going to control that club face and let that power come through.
We're here at the 18th hole at the Ocean Course. What a great finishing hole. One thing we always practice is loosening our grip. You know, in practice, how do you loosen your grip? You tense up a lot, but it's also about being mentally free. And just know that I can hit a great shot, hit a great cut shot down that fairway. It allows me to relax, take my deep breath, loosen my grip, and just let go. Confidence is everything. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your team, your equipment? Because if you don't have trust, you're never able to reach that one goal. You know, whether it's on the golf course or behind the wheel, I think if you believe in yourself, you're able to let go. Super Cruise? That's freaky. That's awesome, though. There it goes. Just a really smooth lane change, and like, it's actually exciting every time I do it. It's so much fun.
A 17-year member of the Metropolitan PGA section, Rich Jones has an extensive track record of success in developing and managing player development programs throughout Long Island.
His coaching ability really revolves around not only the expertise that he has with equipment and with changing technologies, but he also is really able to connect with the golfer in a way that just establishes a quick rapport with them, makes them feel comfortable, and helps them retain the information.
Known as a tremendous recruiter of newcomers to golf, Jones is committed to not only introduce, but keep golfers engaged in the game.
I was ready to give up. You know, you lose your strength, you lose this hospital stay here or there. Each time I come back, he just brings me right back up. Rich brings me right back up as far as he can. I now know I will not ever give up on golf.
Rich's junior programs have enabled approximately 3,000 junior golfers access to the game.
Rich is so passionate about the game. You see it in everything he does. He doesn't just express it in words. Rich expresses it in like emotion and in action.
So you're seeing a little left to right or right to left?
Oh, no break. That's
Left. Okay, good.
For his tireless efforts in growing the game, in 2020, Rich was honored with the National PGA Player Development Award.
You think about Rich, he's somebody that you would want to represent your organization. So whether that's Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy, the PGA, he's somebody that you want to be the face of that organization.
He bleeds the PGA of America. He really has dedicated the majority of his life to this.
And here we're here with the man himself, Rich Jones, great PGA coach here at the PGA Championship. Welcome, Rich.
Welcome, good to be here.
You have had some career and your PGA Development National Award-winning award efforts in 2020. That's something. I mean, how do you feel about that whole award that was bestowed upon you?
Well, Steve, that's quite the accomplishment, and just to be involved and be included with some great coaches, PGA coaches. So for me, the honor and the presence that the company that I'm in, being the National PGA Player Development for 2020, it's quite something.
What motivates you each and every day to get out of bed and work with all the from the junior golfers all the way through anybody who loves the game to learn from you?
Steve, it's people, right? So I'm a people person, and every day I build relationships, right? So I look at a PGA coach as a mentor, a friend. So I build relationships, and I think the fact that I can get up every day and do something that I love, I don't consider it work, right? It's never work when you're having fun, right?
Well, it's all about inspiring and motivating anybody that you're around. I mean, how passionate are you about all of that?
I'm very passionate, and for me, not growing up playing this game at a young age, I started later in my life, and I think when I got bitten by the bug, and I see a lot of players today, face the same challenges, from my disabled golfers to my, professional athletes to my juniors. Mm-hmm. So it serves as inspiration because I think anything is possible. You take a guy like myself that grew up playing, soccer and cricket, and here I am as a PGA coach and inspiring others. So, for me, it's a motivation in itself and inspiration.
Well, you mentioned soccer and cricket, very athletic sports, right? Well, you've got a little tip right here that's going to talk about the athleticism of the game. Will you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, rhythm, timing, and tempo is so important in terms of with this game. And I had the opportunity to kind of go on the golf course and go on the range and watch these players. And the one thing that I noticed, they all have really good timing and tempo. So, for our viewers and our players at home, I want you to really think about that. You want to be able to have good timing and good tempo, and you try to do this maybe when you're practicing. Again, golf is a sport where you're taught not to move, right? So, all the other sports where the golf ball or the ball is moving at you, golf ball in golf is static. So you're moving. The one thing that I want you to really pay attention to, one is your rhythm, right? Your timing. And do this when you're practicing so you feel comfortable before you kind of go through the bag. And Steve, we talked about in terms of what clubs do we start with this. And I think we want to maybe start with maybe the lower irons, the low irons to the mid irons, and just get a feel for that, okay? All right. So I've got a 3 golf ball set up here. And what I'm going to do, this is my rhythm, timing, and tempo drill, and I'm going to use a mid iron. This is maybe just an 8 iron, You can use this with a pitch and wedge. You can use this with any iron, but just something to kind of feel the swing going back and forth. So you want to be able to start first and just, have the club go back and forth and just feel. So my body is moving. I'm shifting my weight from back to front, back to front. And when you feel comfortable, go ahead and approach the golf balls. I have 3 golf balls set up, but you can actually start with 4. You can start with 2. Just get comfortable. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and try this. So again, just set up, get into your posture and rhythm and timing. First one back.
You make that look so easy.
Yeah, so rhythm, timing, and tempo, very important in terms of with the golf game. So make sure you go ahead and practice this, take it on a range before you're going to go out there and start swinging the golf club.
You've got to gear up to it, kind of lead into the round, right? We're watching all of these PGA professionals and tour players out there on the practice tee right now, and they're just kind of warming up. It's obviously Tuesday. They're gearing up for Thursday. They're trying to peak, right, on Thursday morning on that first tee.
Absolutely. And when you think about Kiawah Island, right, where there's a lot of wind, so the wind can be blowing from different directions, right? So when you think about timing and tempo, certain things that come into, into the minds, right? They're all prepared in terms of to play this golf game. So what do they do when they get to a golf course like Kiawah Island? For our players at home, I want you to think about this, right? Look at this and see what they're doing. So you might be playing at your club, and it might be very windy. So how do you tackle the wind? What do you do with your golf clubs, right? So maybe you club down, club up. What are some of the things that you do? So, for example, what I noticed and witnessed yesterday with the players on the range, they're hitting different shots. They're flighting the golf ball different. They're trying to keep it low, high, depending on what the wind condition is, right? Because they might be playing one particular hole, and the wind might be blowing differently. So, different club selection or using the same club and applying different techniques.
Well, that's great stuff, Rich. I really think about watching your athletic motion there and those 3 balls that you hit. You think about when you listen to music, right, and you feel the rhythm. Where do you feel it, right? You feel it in your feet, you tap your feet, and you snap your fingers, right? You feel it in your hands and your feet. I think that's a great tip, and we all look forward to listening and hearing all about what you have in store going forward. So we got more. This is the coaching channel. We got more coaching coming, so this is great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Good stuff.
Great stuff, guys. Wherever your golf journey is headed, a PGA coach will help you get there. Find yours at pga.com/coach. Let's head back out to the range now. Scott Walker and Joe Hallett. Take it away, guys.
All right, Melanie, thank you. And we wanted to focus a little bit right now on to kind of piggyback off of what they were talking about, athleticism, particularly those that are aging a little bit. As I'm approaching 50 a little bit too. I mean, I'm
careful now.
Yeah, exactly. More experience. So one of the players that from the team of 20 that we'll take a look at here is Rob Labritz, who's coming up on his 50th birthday as well. I know we're going to hear from him in a moment, but let's focus on some of the things that keep him an athlete that can compete at a high level.
Well, I mean, obviously, his physicality is one thing that is so important. But you and I were chatting kind of in the off time, and there's so many of our viewers that they're a scratch handicap, they're a 1 handicap, and they've played golf all their life. And in the back of their mind, they're wondering if this senior tour could be a thing. Look, you've played well, you've practiced well, you've won your club championship, but the only difference is Rob has been doing this, and he's been putting himself in competition for the last 20 years, almost on a monthly basis, sometimes on a weekly basis. So the kind of the advice from the PGA coach here is, if you're a scratch player at that level, compete, and keep competing. That's what's going to give you the edge, because it's different out here. Now, you and I will kind of take a little better look at Rob here, but we also talked about how that might apply to the average player.
Well, so when you're looking at that, right, as he's taking a little bit of a break, I mean, as we all age, sometimes we got to take a little breaks from time to time. But as you're looking at that and really trying to have longevity, are we talking about trying to be smoother? Are we talking about the tempo that Rich was considering earlier? So what are some of the things that make you play as well into that more experienced age?
It's really neat, and watching, what a birthday gift this will be for him. I believe May 31st, but, stepping from here and maybe going and playing some senior events. But for those of you that are more in our normal golf club or our club player, and you're kind of getting in that age genre or age zone, it starts to become less about trying to be powerful and about how to try and play the course smarter. And if you can play the course smarter, you can compete. Rob proves that absolutely. Also, equipment changes. You're not going to hit the 1-iron that you might have in college. Looking at different hybrids, looking at different wedges, knowing that you might have some longer shots in and finding maybe more of a muscle back long iron. The equipment change and the ability to play smarter, you know, he can stand on the tee and stand next to someone like Rory and go, I know I'm going to be outdriven by 40 yards, just like we are on our weekend games at times. But if we can play smart, we can compete.
Well, Rob, after taking a break, talking to the reigning PGA Professional champion, Omar Uresti, getting back in here. And what we've seen so many highlights from Rob, so many big moments from him at the PGA Professional Championship and the like, but there's always a sense of calm, even in the face of some of real stakes. You know, we see the pressure that comes in particularly that championship. So how do you maintain that as well, a sense of calm when you really just want to tense up and squeeze that handle so hard?
Well, there's two things. One is the duck always looks calm on the top of the water, but his feet are going a million miles an hour. And, you know, they always talk about the butterflies, and the best players always say, you know, we get the butterflies. We just try to get them all flying in the same direction. But literally the calmness is knowing your game and knowing what you can bring to the course. And man, here's the tough word for everybody. It's the ego. Not trying to do something you go, I wonder if I could pull this off. You know, you've played this game long enough, and being able to know and manage your game and understand what clubs you hit good, what's a great approach shot on a par 5 you can't reach.
So you like it when players trust their instinct?
Absolutely, absolutely, because their instinct is basically rooted in their past performance, not their whim. Their whim is what goes out and go, I wonder if I could do this. The instinct says, I've hit this shot 2 or 3 times before, and I've pulled it off.
As we're watching some of these players here get ready, and Omar trying to get himself a little loose as well. Omar's been around as well, has made a number of starts on the PGA Tour also. So for you, as you're talking about a player getting to know their game, how long does it take? I mean, how do you manage to, you know, to be aware enough to know what you do well and what you don't?
Well, the easiest, the low-hanging fruit for just the average golfer is, what's the shot that gets under your skin? What's the one that you absolutely start to go, I have to get rid of that one? That's the time to go see your PGA coach, obviously. But knowing what that far-out outlier could be, that's the far end of your game. Because you know what's weird? The good end of your game, the good end of my game, and the good end of Rob and Omar's game, it's the par 3 where we hit it a foot from the flag. It might not have got there the same way, but that's the good part. And once we know what the bad part is, we can start to move it towards the good part.
You're almost right. It's always a good time to find a PGA coach. PGA.com/coach.
Hi, I'm Stephen Youngner, PGA Head Golf Professional here at the Ocean Course. We're here at the 16th hole today in one of the very deepest bunkers or sandy areas that we have on the golf course. And there's a lot of unique features about the Ocean Course. It's all just part of the native environment that we have here. So it presents some challenges where sometimes you don't always have the greatest lie. The sand itself is not something you're used to. It's more of a sugar sand or a beach sand. So when we hit bunker shots here, because we do have that ability to take a practice swing and kind of test the sand, that's what we recommend everyone to do. So I'm going to do that here with this shot. Obviously this is a very challenging shot. We're very deep here. I'm going to take a quick practice swing and get sort of a feel for how hard or firm or soft the sand is. I'm going to step into the shot, and because this is such a deep shot, I'm going to try to open the face up as much as I can and swing through the shot. And I'm out, so that's the most important thing. I hope this coaching tip helps you next time you face a unique bunker shot like the ones here at Kiawah.
I'm PGA Professional Michael Breed, standing on the first tee at the Ocean Course at Kiawah, and you know the intimidation of this, bunkers down the right-hand side. You stand on that first tee, and I am telling you, you get a little bit nervous. Now, how do we ease the nerves? How do we get you to be able to hit that shot that you know you're capable of, but man, did it make the trip from the range to the first tee? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you see a good shot and make sure that you practice that tee shot on the range before you come to the first tee. Now, what I suggest doing is having a go-to shot. I like to hit cut shots. This is what you're hearing. Rory McIlroy talked about how he's predominantly going to a cut shot. Dustin Johnson is going to the cut shot. Brooks Koepka, all these great players. Jordan Spieth even going to the cut shot with the driver. This is something that is going to be advantageous for you to get in the fairway. Here's what you're going to do. You got to make sure that you've got your path of the club going over to the pull side, and then you've got to make sure that the face is going over to the push side. So, path, face. Now, it's not going to be that exaggerated. I'm going to take that out of the way here, and I'm going to set this grip just a little bit weak. So my lead thumb is going to be down the shaft a little bit. Instead of being on the side, it's going to be down the shaft like that. That's going to help weaken up that club face. My trail hand's going to match up to where that lead hand is, and then all I'm going to do here, now that I've got the face all set up, I'm going to make sure that I'm getting this club to come across to the pull side here. I've got my target's going to be right down that sort of the left side of the fairway, right over the stairs that are going up from the waist area into the fairway there. Here we go. And what you can see is that it starts down the left-hand side, a nice little cut back into the fairway. I'm in the fairway. Now I can breathe in, breathe out. Make sure you're happy with your shot. You're going to walk confidently and comfortably down the first tee. Here's what you need to appreciate. Get control over that face. Make the path and the face oppose one another. Path left, face right, ball's going to start left and have a nice little butter cut to it. That one there started about 3 degrees to the left, had about 500 RPMs of right spin. You want to get rid of those first tee jitters. You want to be able to perform on the first tee shot. Make sure you, A, practice it on the range, and then B, have your go-to shot, whether it's a draw or a fade. Doesn't matter to me, but they have to oppose one another, the path and the face, in order for you to get it into the fairway. Enjoy that. I know that's going to help you shoot lower scores.
PGA Professionals, they're the heart of the game. They're the ones who help you on your golf journey no matter how you swing it. At the PGA Championship, the spotlight shines on them. A team of 20 PGA Club professionals from across America will tee it up against the world's best players at Kiawah Island's Ocean Course. It's their turn to play and our turn to watch. Join me in cheering for the team of 20 at the PGA Championship.
Well, that's great stuff. The Michael Breed showed us there and hitting the fade. And we've got a guy who hit a very famous fade right here on the 70th hole, the 16th hole at the TPC of Harding Park last year en route to making that eagle. And we've got Colin Morikawa right here. And so one thing we're going to talk about when we have Colin Morikawa is that he definitely plays that fade that Michael Breed was discussing. But we have one of the key things to hitting a fade, and you see a lot of these players do it because of the equipment nowadays. But like a lot of players in the game right now, they get this club to the top, and the left wrist, you see the left wrist in a bowed position right there. That's a beautiful, you see how that transitions really nicely right there. You get that lead wrist to really control the face, and from there you can basically just turn and burn. That is essentially what these players do from there. They get the club face in a position where now they don't have to make any independent hand or arm action through the golf ball. And so from right here, he can kind of turn and burn down through impact. That's a beautiful position, and this is what you see, and this is the beauty of youth right here. You can see both hip pockets at the point of impact. You see this with a Will Zalatoris as well. The ability to hit a fade is really predicated on the fact that the players have the ability to rotate and unwind so beautifully. And from here, they can just kind of hang on to the club face through impact and go all the way through the hitting zone and right to a nice balanced finish right there. It's a gorgeous swing. Obviously, proved dividends for him last year in capturing this PGA championship. But I'd love to actually show you a little bit of how you can do this at home and get your game dialed in to hit that little bit of a fade. And we're going to show you that right now. So let me grab my club, because you need a club to hit a fade. So what we want to do is it's all about, and we saw Colin right there in this bowed left wrist position, all right? And some wrists don't do this, but what you can get is this. It's all about the club face getting in this more closed position. Once you start getting this wrist in more of a cupped position where you have this little cup in the left wrist, the face gets open, and now we've got to make some action. But what Colin and all these great players do, they understand where this club face is. And it kind of piggybacks on what I mentioned a few minutes ago about the grip and the club face and their matchups. But when we try to hit that fade through impact, what we want to make sure that we do, it's all about getting the left palm. Understand that the lead wrist and the lead hand really control the club face. And so when you get to that lead palm and that palm facing the target when you finish, that's a great way to hit that fade, and that's how Colin Morikawa does it. Now, I usually hit a draw, so we're going to see how this fade works here. Fade right into that right hole location, just like Colin Morikawa did and the 16th hole last year en route to winning that PGA championship. But man, that was what a golf shot he hit there, and I can't wait to watch him, see if he can defend his title here this week at Kiawah.
So with the wedges here, I know you do a couple different shots to get your feel, right? The feel versus real. You're gonna tell me, once you've hit this shot, the intention's 30 yards, how far you think it actually went, and then we're gonna kind of test it to see if that is matching your feel.
Perfect.
Okay, did that feel like 30?
Yeah.
Okay, let me shoot it. You're pretty good. That's 30, okay? Do you think in terms of like a position where you're going to be here, or is it strictly feel-based?
I think it's a combination of both. I kind of have my spots if I'm about what I feel is midway through my body or what I feel is just below my shoulder. Whether it's there or not, I don't know, but at least I have a feeling and I'm able to gauge what distances those are.
So let's go one more 30.
Short.
This time, I want you to hit a 60-yard shot.
Feels pretty good to me.
Feels pretty good. Okay. I think we had 57 on that one.
Pretty close.
For you to get that feel of how far that ball's flying is going to help your confidence when you go out there. Let's do a 60-yarder. How'd that feel?
Pretty good. Right on 60.
60 it is.
There we go. In every golf journey, the next opportunity is always just ahead. But some goals can feel like an uphill climb, even intimidating, especially if you're on your own. But in the game of golf, helping hands are all around us. Whether you dream of a championship or you're just trying to learn the ropes, PGA Coaches are ready to provide the knowledge and support you need to take the next step.
And a California kid is the new star in the game of golf.
Just like my PGA Coach has always done for me. Find your PGA Coach at pga.com/coach. Hey Rick, what's up?
Hey Colin, just a reminder on the ocean course today. The wind out there can be really tough. You need to be able to control the curve of your shots out there. Remember what we've worked on.
All right, we're here at the 17th hole ocean course, long par 3. You know, we're right up against the ocean, so you're gonna get a lot of wind. We've talked about it with Rick, my coach. You know, getting ahead of the curve. Sometimes you're gonna have to hit a draw, but I love fading the ball. So, you know, with me, I'm gonna aim my club face at the target where I wanna finish the ball, but I'm gonna have my body, my feet, everything else lined to the left. I think staying ahead of the curve is reaching new boundaries and trying to test new limits. If you get complacent and you start realizing that things are all right, that next person behind you is going to take 2 steps in front of you. The first thing when I sat down in this Escalade that caught my attention was this gigantic screen. I love it. It puts a smile on my face every time I drive now.
At last month's PGA Professional Championship, my putter was changed, and she wasn't acting very well first 3 days, even though I was 4 under par. So I decided to try something new. My wife didn't travel with me, and kids didn't travel with me, so I decided to, throw it in bed with me to see what happens. Not really cuddled, just kind of put it on a pillow, kind of, caressed it every once in a while, but that was about it. It didn't move, thank goodness, because it does have a mind of its own, but it was still in the same spot, and I was in the same spot, rolled away from it, so maybe it felt my coldness. Everything was great on the practice putting green, but then I 3-putted the first hole, so I don't think I'll ever try to sleep with my putter again, but at least we gave it a shot, and it doesn't work. I'm Rob Labritz, and I'm a member of the PGA Team of 20.
Well, we are so excited to be joined now by a member of the PGA Team of 20, Rob Labritz, and his coaches, Bill Davis and Tom Wilson. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. How has your week been so far here?
Oh, my goodness. It's like being Mick Jagger for a week. I think I've come across that one a lot. It is awesome. I mean, to compete on this sort of venue against the best players in the world, just to dream come true.
Yeah, mentally, how do you kind of handle that going into a tournament like this, knowing what you're up against? How do you kind of stay grounded?
It's more about playing the golf course. Seeing all the guys out here, it's great. It's my 8th major, so getting a little bit more comfortable. But I want to go out there and just I want to play the golf course and make a bunch of putts.
Yeah, well, when you walked up here with your coaches, you said these 2 guys are like father figures to me. Yeah. Talk about the impact these 2 have had on your life and how long you've been together.
Wow. So Bill and I met each other in 1989, and we've been working together since that time when he was at Jupiter Hills. And then I met Tom Wilson in 2000, and these guys have had the biggest impacts on my golf career. They're like father figures to me, and they are, they've taught me everything. I owe everything in my golf game to these 2, and a lot of hard work and practice and dedication, but their knowledge is what puts me right here.
Now, Tom, you've been working with Rob since back in the year 2000. What sort of things did you work on starting then, and are they some of the same things that you talk about now?
I used to say to Rob, you're a great player in spite of your golf swing, not because of your golf swing. But what attracted me to Rob was he worked for me one winter, and then a couple after that. But he said, I'll work for free. I just want a place to practice. So after a full days of working, he'd go to the practice tee. And I saw dedication. I saw somebody who wanted it. And I said, here's my opportunity to see if some of my theories hold true, and I was fortunate enough to be allowed to work with him. The end result I couldn't be more pleased with as far as a golfer and his character.
Well, Rob's a guy who doesn't leave any stone unturned, and he doesn't have one coach, but he has 2. Now, Bill Davis, a fellow Florida Gator, talk about your relationship with Rob and how special it is.
Well, when Rob first came to me, he told me he wanted to be a tournament player, and so I said, well, that's all about shooting a lower score. So there's 7 parts of the game, and the last 2 are course management and your emotional skills. So we initially spent a lot of time teaching him how to lower his score. So we played from the forward tees, and we find out how low he can go. And he won a tournament one time, and he shot 16 under par, which was about 12 strokes lower than he had any time in the past. So we kind of started with that, and then we worked on the short game after that, and here we are. So I'm very, as Tom said, I'm very proud of all of his hard work, and I'm happy to have him as a student.
Well, Rob, representing the Metropolitan PGA section, explain to the viewers and everybody out there, this is your 8th PGA Championship, how hard you train for this moment.
Well, I mean, the days start early in the morning, as my wife knows. I get up early. I'm usually on my Peloton or with my trainer early in the morning for an hour. I eat breakfast, and I go off to the golf course. I'm a director of golf, so I have a lot of things to do. I run a team. I coach about 1,400 hours a year, and then I have to practice and spend some time with my family, too. And unfortunately, sometimes the family, it almost takes a hit because I spend so much time at the club. But there's not a day that goes by where I don't train or work on my game or, just try to keep it as best as I can.
Yeah, Rob, on your social media, you have listed golf, fitness, and food.
Oh, yeah.
Take us a little bit more into the fitness side of things. You mentioned the Peloton. What are some of the other things that you're doing to just maintain this consistency and this longevity in your career?
That's great. Yeah, it's functional training mostly. I've got a great trainer, Curtis Jackson, who's taught me how to just, move and just keep my body limber. We do a lot of stretching. We do a lot of, say plyometrics, but just fitness basically based on movement. So I'm going to be 50 years old. I don't have any aches and pains. He's kept my structure and my form in my body nice and solid, and he tries to keep me strongest at my weakest points. So we do a lot of stretching with weights where I'm in a weird position but very strong. So and we do that 4 to 5 times a week, and I do some other things myself and just try to keep it strong.
Well, Rob, we've competed against each other in the past. I know there's not too many weak points in your game. 2-time low PGA Club Professional at the PGA Championship. Like I said, your 8th opportunity here. This golf course, talk about this golf course and how your game matches up. And I know you're going to be going maybe on a PGA Tour Champions run as well. And this is kind of gearing up towards a lot of great play.
Yeah, the golf course, I mean, we got a chance to play it. I play the pro member here every year, and we play it from about 6,700 yards. So we've added about 1,100 yards this week.
Just a little.
Just a little bit longer. We've had, I played basically 1 foot in the rough. They have us set all the way back. So playing this place from the tips is, it's really, really long. But it's also firm and fast, so it kind of averages itself out. My game plan is to plot myself away around this place. There's places you got to hit it, and there's places you can't hit it. And then, just make sure that I'm hitting my irons crisp and getting it on the green, and hopefully my putter just,
well,
comes with me this week.
Right. Rob, best of luck this week. Tom and Bill, thank you so much for stopping by.
Pleasure.
Well, the ocean course, you deal a lot more with the environment. You have the sand dunes that are always changing. As Pete used to say, this golf course walks. You'll have the wind's going to move these dunes around, and we're always kind of, adapting to what Mother Nature presents us. The change from August to May, I think May is going to be a much more comfortable event for patrons and the golfers. The weather should be a little bit cooler. Hopefully we've got a lot of wind, and then, just not having to worry about the storms and things like that. I'll probably jinx myself by saying that, and it'll rain all week, but those are the kind of things that we look forward to in May. And plus we'll be playing on an overseeded golf course. Right now we're just building the foundation, getting the ryegrass up, starting to do some detail work in waste areas and changing those a little bit, working fairway lines, getting those where Kerry wants to have the fairway lines and stuff for the PGA Championship. So right now, agronomically, we're just at the beginning stages of setting the stage for the championship. Once the tournament gets here, it's relatively easy. It's all of the work up to the tournament. You got long hours. But once the tournament's here, our schedule, we'll start at probably 4:30 a.m. and we're usually off the golf course by 6:30, and then we'll come back usually right around 7 p.m. and we're off the golf course by 9 p.m. and we'll be fortunate in the fact that we get to utilize 5 other golf courses, staff. But as we get into March, April, things are going to ramp up exponentially each month. I mean, it's by the time May rolls around, we'll probably be looking forward to the end of May, to be honest with you, because we'll be pretty tired. But it's exciting. I mean, it's a true honor to be able to represent Kiawah and having the ocean course back out, on the world stage. It's truly exciting. It's well worth the effort, and we enjoy the process.
Most mornings, Joanna Coe is up before dawn. That drive and determination has paid off in a big way as Joanna was named the inaugural Women's PGA Professional Player of the Year in 2019. She's been a dominant player in the Middle Atlantic PGA section, teed it up in several PGA Professional Championships. competed for the United States in the Women's PGA Cup. And next month, she'll once again take on the best players in the world at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship.
Good effort. Get in there. Ah, there we go.
Looked like a 3 all the way.
Joanna's accomplishments extend far beyond the course as a PGA coach.
Well, let's start warming up.
She is the PGA Director of Instruction at historic Baltimore Country Club.
She runs an outstanding junior program at Baltimore Country Club. She's a great teacher, one of the best in the section.
So let's just work on kind of getting that body a little bit more level.
She's been a great team player. The members love her. They really enjoy, being around her. I mean, anyone that's around her, you can feel the excitement. Every day that she comes to work, I've never seen her have her bad day.
She truly loves the game of golf, and it's contagious. She makes you want to be here because golf is such a part of who she is. If we didn't have her, BCC would be a different place.
One of the best qualities she has, amongst other great qualities, is the fact that she makes the student feel comfortable, and it's more than just golf.
At her core, there's a pilot light inside her that burns very brightly.
She lives and breathes golf, and she lives and breathes energy, and I wish that I had a lot more people like her.
Beautiful.
And we are joined now on our PGA Coaching live set by the amazing Joanna Coe, who is so experienced, about to take part in her 4th major. Joanna, for those at home, I know we all have some issues with first tee jitters. I'm sure a lot of these players facing a course like this in a major championship, you've got some first tee jitters. What are some of the things that our viewers can do at home to sort of combat that?
Sure, and these players are super experienced, but even when they have thousands of people behind them, they're going to feel those first tee jitters. And honestly, coming down the stretch on Sunday, they're going to feel that on that 18th hole, which is extremely difficult, narrow and long. So whether it's the best players in the world or those at home that are playing with a few friends and they just feel it on the first tee, you have to have a process and a pre-shot routine in place in order to get yourself in that right frame of mind. So that takes some practice with your PGA coach, or just doing it yourself at the driving range.
Yeah, so kind of take us through that routine. Where do you start, and how do you get loose?
Sure. I mean, I would recommend always showing up to the tee a little bit early, making sure you're not trunk slamming and running to the tee, making sure you're mentally prepared. But I think the hard work starts behind the golf ball. So behind the golf ball is where we are really picking that target and just not focusing on the obstacles. I mean, here, this is somewhat of a wide driving range, but there's water right, there's OB left, and a lot of the higher handicap players really focus on those obstacles. But it's all about the target, small miss. And you have to know yourself as a player and your tendencies. So my tendencies, I get a little short and a little quick. A lot of players would do the same thing. So I'm thinking, okay, just finish your backswing, nice fluid backswing, and just focus on great tempo, okay? So this is where we're visualizing the shot, picturing what we want to do, then we're walking into the golf ball with some confidence, okay? So a nice confident walk into it, okay? Here's where I'm really relaxing myself, easing that tension, making sure my arms aren't tight, my shoulders, a couple waggles, okay? And then it's all about a free-flowing swing from here. Got some left-right wind here in this driving range, that's for sure.
So talk about the waggles. What does that do?
Sure. So you see a lot of players with that waggle. It is to ease that tension. It's also to give you a little bit of a swing feel, whether it's something you're rehearsing in your takeaway to open up the club face, or it's a little bit of a grip. You see Sergio would regrip, but it's all about easing that tension and making sure you're ready to make that athletic move.
Yeah.
Just like in any sport, whether you're in the batter's box or about to shoot a free throw, everyone's moving around, making sure they're ready for that athletic move.
Yeah, I think we all have issues with the first tee jitters. Great stuff, Joanna. Thank you so much.